And here we are, folks. The final episode of the wildest political saga. This story has been like a crazy season finale. Like, too much drama, way too many plot twists, and now we're at the end. Honestly, I don't even know which side of the Mississippi this whole mess is on, but who cares, right? What matters is this is the end of Tiffany Henyard's time as mayor and township supervisor, and it's airing out like a bad reality show nobody asked for. Big shout out to Ben Bradley from WGN. He's been all over this from the start. You'll see what I mean. He tried to pull up like a news ninja, trying to expose what Tiffany's been up to as she wraps up her last days in office. While she's out here doing an Easter food giveaway, funded by the taxpayers, obviously. But Ben's been there documenting every dollar she spent on steak dinners and luxury trips along the way. And wait for it, because the numbers he's about to drop, they're shocking. You think you know how much money she was making? I mean, we've talked about it. It's been over $200K, but no, this is CEO level money. And by the end, she wasn't even showing up to work. I've been covering her for 2 years now, and trust me, this ride has been something. Her political career? It's done. But the story's not over, not by a long shot. Self-proclaimed super mayor Tiffany Henyard is leaving office soon after taking an epic beating at the ballot box. I mean, it was a landslide loss. Badly beaten doesn't even do it justice. Why? Well, let's break it down. Questionable spending, constant clashes with trustees, and oh yeah, an ongoing FBI investigation. That's how you get here. Ben Bradley, investigative reporter, has been on this from the jump, and tonight he's back in the south suburbs to lay out exactly what Tiffany's reign cost the people. I love you all, but there's nothing you can do about it. The curtain is closing on the Tiffany Henyard show, but not before one final hurrah. Supervisor, people want to know, what's next for you? As if we don't already know the answer. But there she is, still out here doing her signature food giveaway, and the whole town's lining up. Cars for blocks, and we're talking tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars spent on this thing. It's the Farewell Freebie Festival, but here's the catch. This wasn't about leadership, it was about groceries. People aren't lining up for her ideas, they're lining up for the free food. Let's see the rest of this circus. Our last hurrah, and here's the kicker. I didn't vote for her, and I won't ever vote for her, one person said. But hey, they're there for the free groceries. It's not charity, people. You're just getting back the money you already gave through taxes. She's not giving out her own money. She's just giving back what she took from the people in the first place, and it doesn't stop there. Tiffany does spend money, some of it on decent programs. But let's talk about what else she's been spending on. Newly obtained records show that last year, Tiffany made over $347,000 between her positions in Dalton and Thornton Township. $347,000, people. Let that sink in. That's more than the mayor of Chicago makes, and we're talking about a city of 2.7 million people, not a small town of 20,000. But let's be real, Chicago's mayor is a mess too. But this doesn't make sense at all. The breakdown. $282,000 from the township. And on top of that, a $4,900 monthly expense allowance and an $1,100 car allowance. That's a ridiculous amount of money for a small town leader. Who set this up? Because clearly somebody was lining their pockets while the rest of the town was left holding the bag. Way too much money for way too little work. So here we go, folks. Dalton taxpayers dropped 6 figures on 2 SUVs just to chauffeur Tiffany Henyard around. And let's not forget, she hasn't been to a single board meeting since she lost her re-election. Now look, I get it. After the brawl and all the drama, maybe it's better she didn't show up. Who's got time for that nonsense? But still, this whole thing is wild. She's getting paid NBA money, and we're talking about a town with only 20,000 people and a township of just over 100,000. I mean, what's going on here? It's not just the pay. It's the allowances. She's pocketing $4,900 a month for expenses and another $100 a month for a car. And we're not even getting into the SUVs. The police were driving her around like she was Beyoncé on tour. Think about it. This wasn't public service. This was like corporate raiding, dressed up as community work. Taxpayer-funded steak dinners, first-class flights, luxury hotel stays, all paid for by your hard-earned dollars. Meanwhile, the mayor of Chicago is dealing with a city of 2.7 million people, and yes, he's terrible at his job, but still. At least his salary makes sense for the scale of the job. Tiffany, she's running a small town into the ground, paying herself like she's running a Fortune 500 company. This wasn't just greedy. It was downright shameless. The only thing more inflated than her paycheck was her ego. So here's the question. Why hasn't she been to any board meetings since her defeat? You still getting paid, Tiffany, so why not show up? It doesn't even make sense at this point. She lost. Why would she show up just to fight back and forth? I'm shocked she was pulling in this much money in the first place. NBA money for someone running a town of 20,000? It's crazy. But the real question is, who set this up? $4,900 a month for expenses, what $100 a month for a car she didn't even need. And for the longest time, police officers were chauffeuring her around like she was on a world tour. All of this on top of her mayor's pay? This isn't public service. This is a corporate raid on taxpayer funds. She was stacking taxpayer-funded perks like it was a loyalty program. First-class flights, steak dinners, luxury hotels, the whole package. And let's be honest, the actual mayor of Chicago is dealing with his own set of issues. And yes, he's terrible, but at least his overpaid mess is dealing with a city of millions. Tiffany? She was running 2 struggling municipalities into the ground while stacking her own pockets. This wasn't just greedy, it was pure, unfiltered shamelessness. And the only thing bigger than her paycheck was her inflated ego. So Ben Bradley asked her, why haven't you been to the meetings? And you know what she said? Nothing. No answer. She refused to speak with him. She's done. She doesn't have to answer to anyone anymore. In just a few days, she'll be a regular citizen, and the spotlight will fade. But hey, maybe if she wants to stay relevant, she'll have to start a podcast or something. Because what she's been doing? Turning 2 towns into her personal ATM. And now the feds are sniffing around. It's no surprise, the whole thing just screams selfishness. It wasn't about the people, it was about her pocketbook. Stephanie Weedman, who worked for the township for 20 years, blew the whistle on many of Henyard's antics. And here's the thing, if Tiffany just admitted she messed up, everyone would have moved on. It's like a sitcom. Every 2 weeks, a new episode of drama. People pointed out the mistakes and she played along, but she never owned it. Could she have apologized? Could she have compromised? Maybe. But Tiffany chose delusion over accountability. She acted like a queen, untouchable, beyond question. Every board meeting turned into a drama show, and she wasn't trying to govern. She was just trying to be the most interesting person in the room, and that's why people tuned out, and that's why they voted her out. Then you've got the you folks out here trying to defend her. You're attacking a black woman in power! Well, where's the accountability? Not one time has Tiffany said, I made a mistake. She'll never admit it. She can't. It's impossible for her to say, I messed this up. I was making over $300K and I couldn't make it work. I failed because I couldn't work with people. You're the one who's costing the village money. She won't own it. Not ever. And the taxpayers are stuck with the bill. Yabujien Investigates has documented her first-class trips, her steak dinners, her stay at the Four Seasons, all costing taxpayers over $100,000. And what's her excuse? I don't handle the credit cards, she says. I didn't go to Las Vegas, she says. But when the feds come for her, she'll try to claim, it wasn't me. It was other people's names on the charges. Right, Tiffany. And let's talk about the perks. $600 per day for out-of-state travel. $400 per day for in-state, plus travel expenses. We asked her successor whether he agrees with those kinds of supersized paydays. His response? What you make depends on what you deliver. And Tiffany? She didn't deliver. You ever notice how people always say athletes shouldn't make millions? And doctors or teachers should get that kind of money instead? I'm not about to get into that debate, but let me tell you, what's interesting about Napoleon Harris is the only time I ever heard him speak was when Tiffany got kicked out, and maybe a couple of words in the caucus. And then there was the victory parade. That's it. Never saw him in any township meetings. So, here's my question. Is everything going to magically fix itself now that Tiffany Henyard's out? Quick answer, No. Look, the issues didn't just vanish when she left. It's been proven. It's way too easy to manipulate the system, and that's why the residents need to stay vigilant. You have to keep paying attention and hold these people accountable. People just don't care as much as they should. The voter turnout was embarrassingly low. I get it. People are tired. They're cynical. They feel like every politician is corrupt in one way or another, and I can't necessarily blame them. But if you don't show up, if you don't care, this kind of thing happens again. Tiffany Henyard showed us just how easy it is to abuse the system when no one's watching. If you're not showing up to vote, if you're not paying attention to your leaders and the budgets, this could happen again. And honestly, despite everything that went down, the spending, the questionable cancer charity, the FBI investigation, and even a brawl at a board meeting, it's just so sad. So sad. I hope things get better, but honestly, I don't know. Good luck. Now Henyard still has her supporters. Some people are still backing her. They're like, well, she needed the security. She's giving back to the community. But here's the thing. She doesn't have many supporters. The numbers don't lie. If she had any real support, she wouldn't have been destroyed in both races as mayor of the village and supervisor of the township. She doesn't have support, and if she does, they didn't show up to vote. And as for her statement, the show isn't over. She told us on election day, "You haven't heard the last of me." Oh, we'll see, won't we? Because the FBI is still tuned in. And here's the kicker. Agents have been visiting her allies' homes recently, looking for info and cooperation. Sources are saying that the feds are still sniffing around. And get this, Henyard's six-figure salary, 6 times higher than the leaders of Illinois' largest townships, is about to get slashed to just over $50,000 per year when the new supervisor takes over. Good? Yeah. At this point, it's probably a step in the right direction. But do I think this is the end? No. The feds are still circling. They're still knocking on doors, still digging through the mess. And as for the township salary, it's going down. But that doesn't mean the corruption is gone. Let's be real. This political saga doesn't end with a mic drop. The feds are watching. The taxpayers are still demanding answers. Where's the receipts? And let's not forget, Tiffany said, "You haven't heard the last of me." And I believe her. More madness is coming. More info is coming out in the next few days. So, keep it locked if you want to keep following the drama. But let me ask, what do you think about the money Tiffany was making while doing all this nonsense? It's life-changing money, right? And yet she didn't even try to fix things. She couldn't even pretend to care enough to turn things around. She just kept taking the money and did whatever she wanted. Someone pulling in that kind of cash would at least try to make it work, right? But Tiffany didn't. That's why she's out. And the pay cut is coming because whatever she does next is not going to be anywhere near what she was making as mayor and township supervisor. So, what do you guys think about all this? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.